Hi guys, this is Allison from Allylat Creations. Please like, share, and subscribe to my channel if you have yet to do so. And if you get anything from my work, a connected dot, an epiphany, a mind-blown moment, new books to read, new authors to explore, artwork to explore, oracle cards to explore, all the links for those things are at the bottom of the description. And I got some pyramids I've been working on. This is heavy. I try to change the colors up a bit. This one just came off hot. It literally is hot off the press. So I did something different with this one, and I put the copper in first and then the crystal. So I might explore a little bit more with that technique. I don't know. We'll see how it works. If it works. What's going on, everybody? Hi. I had a crazy day yesterday. Very, very crazy. In a good way. Very good way. But I wasn't able to get a video in. And today, I didn't sleep last night at all. Rough night. And I'm kind of like out of it. So I'm not going to do a waspy. I'm going to do Blavatsky. Just being that a waspy frustrates the living daylights out of me with pronouncing things, I'm not going there today. I am trying to just have a relaxing evening. So mind you guys, the order of my videos do change, so be aware. Okay, Blavatsky, Secret Doctrine, on the elements and atoms from the standpoint of science and that of occultism. When the occultist speaks of elements and human beings who live during those geological ages, the duration of which it is found as impossible to determine according to the opinion of the one best English geologists, as the nature of matter, it is because he knows what he is talking about. When he says man and elements, he neither means man in his present physiological, there we go, and anthropological form, nor the elemental atoms. Those hypothetical conceptions, the initiative abstractions of matter in its highly attenuative state as existing as present in scientific minds, nor, again, the compound elements of antiquity. In occultism, the word element means rudiment. In every case, when we say elementary man, we mean either the primeval, I forgot what those, how to pronounce that. There's like a Scandinavian marks over things. Whatever. Inceptant sketch of man in its unfinished and undeveloped condition. Hence, in the form which now lies latent in physical man during his lifetime and takes shape only occasionally and under certain conditions, or that form which for a time survives the material body and which is better known as the elementary. With regard to element, when the term is used metaphysically, it means in distinction to the mortal, the inceptant divine man. That's us. And its physical usage, inorganic matter in its first undifferentiated condition or in the laya state, which is the eternal and the normal condition of substance, differentiating only periodically and is during the differentiation in an abnormal state. In other words, a transitory illusion of the senses. That's big. As to the elemental atoms, so-called, the occultists refer to them by the name with the meaning analogous to that which is given by the Hindu or Brahma when he calls him Anu, the atom. Every elemental atom in search of which more than one chemist has followed the path indicated by the alchemists is, in their firm belief, when not knowledge, a soul, but necessarily a disembodiment soul, but a jiva, as the Hindus call it. Sorry if I'm butchering those terms. A center of potential vitality with latent intelligence in it. And in the case of compound souls, an intelligent, active existence from the highest to the lowest order or form composed of more or less differentiations. It requires a metaphysician and an Eastern metaphysician to understand our meeting. All those atom souls are differentiations from the one, and in the same relation to it as the divine soul, the Buddha, to its informing and inseparable spirit or Atman. Pause. Another book that just, hi, again, if we don't know, we don't watch me, I do reactions as I'm reading it with you, because a lot of these books I have yet to read. A lot of them I have, but this one, no. And let me tell you exactly that I say the same thing in different wording. So here is another book stating the same exact thing that I've been saying. Because people think I talk out of my ass because people don't, oh, you have abilities. Well, I don't know if I can trust you because some entity from another abyss came in and snatched your body. That's what I get nowadays, mind you. So this again is saying the same things I've been saying. So if you want to know where I say these things, spiritual soul of vices, I just added, it's like a pondering. I just rant and channel. So if you're interested in hearing me spew a lot of this concept in a spiritual essence, Westerner, go there. Back to the book. Modern physics, while borrowing from the ancients their atomic theory, forgot one point. The most important of the doctrine, hence they got only the husks and were never be able to get at the kernel. They left behind in the adoption of physical atoms the suggestive fact that from Anaxagoras, I know I'm saying that wrong. I've said that word a few times. Okay, moving on. Down to Epicurus, the Roman Lucretius, and finally even to Galileo, all those philosophers believed one, more or less, the inanimated atoms, not in invisible specks of so-called brutal matter. Rotary motion was generated in their views by larger, read more and more divine and pure atoms forcing downwards upon other atoms, the lighter ones being thrust simultaneously upward. The esoteric meaning of this is the ever-cyclic curve downward and upward of differentiated elements through intercyclic phases of existence until each reaches again its starting point or birthplace. The idea was metaphysical as well as physical, the hidden interpretation embracing gods or souls in the shape of atoms as the causes of all the effects produced on earth by the secretions from the divine bodies. Holy shit. No ancient philosopher, not even the Jewish Kabbalists, ever disassociated spirit from matter or vice versa. Everything originated in the one, and proceeding from the one must finally return to the one. Light becomes heat and consolidates into fiery particles, which from being ignited become cold, hard particles, round and smooth, and this is called soul. Imprisoned in its robe of matter, atoms and souls have been synonymous in the language of the initiates. The whirling souls, Gilgalim, a doctrine in which so many learned Jews have believed, had no other meaning esoterically. The learned Jews initiates never meant by the promised land, Palestine alone, but the same nirvana as the learned Buddhist and Brahmin do, the bosom of the eternal one, symbolized by that of Abraham and by Palestine as its substitute on earth. The passage of the soul atom through the 7 planetary chambers had the same metaphysical and also physical meaning. It had the latter when it was said to dissolve into ether. See Isis Unveiled. That's the next book I'll be reading from her after volume 2. Even Epicurus, the model atheist and materialist, knew and believed so much in the ancient wisdom that he taught that the soul, entirely distinct from immortal spirit when the former is enshrined latent in it, as it is in every atom speck, was composed of fine, tender essence formed from the smoothest, roundest, and finest atoms. And this shows that the ancient initiates who were followed more or less closely by the profane antiquity meant by the term atom a soul, a genius, an angel, the firstborn of the ever-concealed cause of all causes. And in the same sense, their teachings become comprehensible. They claim, as do their successors, the existence of gods and genii, angels or demons, not outside or independent of the universal plurum, but within. Only this plurum, plenum, during the life cycles is infinite. They admit and taught a good deal of that which modern science teaches now, namely the existence of a primordial world stuff of cosmic substance, from which worlds are formed, even eternally homogeneous, except during its periodic existence, when it differentiates its universal diffusion throughout infinite space and the gradual formation of sidereal bodies from it. They taught the revolution of the heavens, the Earth's rotation, the heliocentric system, and the atom vortices, atoms in reality, souls and intelligences. But these atomists were spiritual, not transcendental, and philosophical pantheists. It is not that they who would have ever conceived or dreamt the monstrous contrast, progeny, the nightmare of our modern civilized race, namely inanimate material, self-guiding atoms on the one hand and an extra cosmic God on the other. This is heavy, guys. This is good though. It may be useful to show what, in the teachings of the old initiates, the monad was and what its origin. Modern exact science, as soon as it began to grow out of its teens, perceived great and to it hereto esoteric axiom that nothing, whether in the spiritual, psychic, or physical realm of being, could come into existence out of nothing. There is no cause in the manifested universe without its adequate effects, whether in space or time, nor can there be an effect without its primal cause, which itself owes its existence to a still higher one, the final and absolute cause having to remain to man forever, an incomprehensible causeless cause. But even this is no solution and must be viewed, if at all, from the highest philosophical and metaphysical standpoints. Otherwise, the problem had better be left unapproached. It is an abstraction on the verge of which human reason, however trained to metaphysical subletities, trembles, threatening to collapse. This may be demonstrated to any European who would undertake to solve the problem of existence by the articles of faith of the true Vedanta, for instance. Let him read and study the sublime teachings on the subject of soul and spirit of Sankaracharya, Chara, butchering it, but I'm doing my best. And the reader will realize this now. Sorry, guys. For those of you, again, I'm sorry for the people that actually watch all my Blavatsky series, but I got a lot of new subscribers. Some people don't do the secessions. So I have a pronunciation projection issue. My teeth fall down. I'm dyslexic on top of that. And I have a hard issue. I have a lot of issues going on with teeth. So please be mindful that there are going to be words and names in other languages that I am not going to pronounce properly. So I do apologize. I'm not meant to here to be disrespectful. While the Christian is taught that the human soul is a breath of God being created by him for septennial existence, having a beginning but no end, and therefore never to be called eternal, the occult teaching says nothing is created but is only transformed. Nothing can manifest itself in the universe from a globe down to a vague, rapid thought that was not in the universe already. Everything on the subjective plane is and eternal is, as everything on the objective plane is and ever becoming because transitory. The monad, a truly indivisible thing, as defined by Good, who did not give it the sense we now do, is here rendered as the Atma in conjunction with Buddha and the higher manas. This trinity is one of the eternal, the latter being absorbed in the former at the termination of all conditioned and elusive life. The monad then can be traced through the course of the pilgrimage and its changes of transitory vehicles only from the incipient stage of the manifested universe in Pralaya, or the intermediate period between two Manvaratas. It loses its name, as it loses it when the real one self of man merges into Brahma. In cases of high sad mahai, I think I said that right, maybe not, or final nirvana, when the disciple, in the words of Sankara, have obtained the primeval consciousness, absolute bliss, of which the nature is truth, which is without form and action, abandons the elusive body that has been assumed by the Atma, just as an actor abandons the dress put on. For Buddha is but a mirror which reflects absolute bliss. And moreover, that reflection itself is yet not free from ignorance and is not the supreme spirit, being subject to conditions, being a spiritual modification, prakti, and an effect. Atma alone is the one real and eternal substratum of all, the essence and absolute knowledge. It is called the esoteric philosophy, the one witness. And while it rests dimension, it is referred to as the three witnesses to karma. Atma, our seventh principle, being identical with the universal spirit, and man being one with it in his essence, which is then the monad proper. It is the homogeneous spark which radiates the millions of rays from the primeval seven, of which seven further on. It is the emanating spark from the uncreated ray, a mystery, and the esoteric and even exoteric Buddhism of the North, Adi Buddha, the one unknown, without beginning or end, identical with Par Brahman and Ein Sof, emits a bright ray from its darkness. This is the Logos, the first. The Vajradhara, the Supreme Buddha. As the Lord of all mysteries, he cannot manifest, but sends into the world of manifestation his heart, the diamond heart. This is the second Logos of creation, from whom emanate the seven, in the exoteric blind, the five. Daihan Buddhas, called the Anupradaka, the parentless. These Buddhas are the primeval monads from the world of incorporeal being, the Arupa world wherein the intelligences on that plane only have neither shape nor name in the exoteric system, but they have their distinct 7 names in esoteric philosophy. These dhyani Buddhas emanate or create for themselves by virtue of dhyan celestial selves, the superhuman Bodhisattvas. Sorry, I'm butchering this. These incarnating at the beginning of every human cycle on earth as mortal men become occasionally, owing to their personal merit, among the sons of humanity, after which they may reappear as Minushi, human Buddhas. The Anupadaka or Dhyani Buddhas are thus identical with the Brahmanical Manas something or other, guys. I'm sorry. I'm just not going to. You can't even see it. Mind-born sons, whether of Brahma or either of other 2 Trimerturian hypostats, hence identical also with the rishis and the practice. Thus, a passage is found in Anugita, which read esoterically shows plainly through under another imagery the same idea and system. It says, whenever entities there are in the world, movable or immovable, they are the very first to be dissolved at pralaya, and the next development produced from the elements from which the visible universe is fashioned. And after these developments involved entities, all the elements, such as the upward graduation among entities, gods, men, Purishas, Asuras, Rakashas, as all have been created by Prakti or plastic nature, not by actions nor by cause, not by any physical cause. These Brahmins, the creators of the world, are born here on earth again and again. Whatever is produced from them is dissolved in due time in those very 5 elements, the 5 or rather 7 Dhyani Buddhas, also called elements of mankind. Like billions in the ocean, these great elements are in every way beyond the elements that make up the world, the gross elements. And he who is realized even from these 5 elements goes to the highest goal. The Lord Prajarakti Brahma created all these by the mind only, by dhyana or abstract meditation and mystic powers like the Dhyani Buddhas. Eventually, then these Brahmins are identical with the Bodhisattva, oh my God, Athas, the terrestrial of the heavenly Dhyan Buddhas. Sorry, guys, this is like a wasp bane. It's getting frustrating. Both as primordial intelligent elements become the creators of the emanators of the monads, destined to become human in the cycle, after which they evolve themselves, or so they say, expanded in their own selves as Brahmins in heaven and earth, to become at last simple men. The creators of the world are born here on earth again and again, truly. In the northern Buddhist system, or the popular exoteric religion, it is taught that every Buddha, while preaching the good law on earth, manifests himself simultaneously in 3 worlds: in the formless as a Dhyani Buddha, in the world of forms as a Bodhisattva, whatever that is, and in the world of desire, the lowest of our world, as man. Esoterically, the teaching differs. The divine, purely Adi Buddhic monad manifests as the universal Buddha, or Mahat, in Hindu philosophies, the spiritual, omniscient, and omnipotent root of divine intelligence, the highest Anima Mundi, or the Logos. This descends like a flame spreading from the eternal fire, immovable without increase or decrease, ever the same to the end of the cycle of existence, and becomes universal life on the mundane plane. From this plane of conscious life shoot out like 7 fiery tongues, the sons of light, the logi of life. Then the Dhyani Buddhas of contemplation, the concrete forms of their formless fathers, the 7 sons of light, still themselves, to whom may be applied the Brahmanical mystic phase, thou art that Brahman. It is from these Dhyani Buddhas that emanate their shadows, the Bodhisattvas of the celestial realms, the prototypes of the super-terrestrial Buddhisattvas, and of the terrestrial Buddhas, finally of men. The 7 sons of light are also called stars. The star under which a human entity is born, says the occult teaching, will remain forever its star throughout the whole cycle of its incarnation in one Manavatra. But this is not his astrological star. The latter is concerned and connected with its personality, the former with the individuality. The angel of that star, or the Dhyani Buddha, will be either the guiding or simply the presiding angel, to so to say, in every new rebirth of the monad, which is a part of his own essence. Through his vehicle, man may remain forever ignorant of this fact. The adepts have each their Dhyani Buddha, their elder twin soul, and they know it, calling it Father Soul and Father Fire. It is only at the last and supreme initiation, however, that they learn it will place face to face with the bright image. How much has Buller-Luden known of this mystic fact when describing in one of his highest inspirational moods, Ziani face to face with his Argoids? Whatever. The logos are both of the unmanifested and manifested world, is called by the Hindus Iswara, the Lord. Through the occultists give it another name, Iswara. Say the Vedantins is the highest consciousness in nature. This highest consciousness, answer the occultists, is only a synthetic until in the world of the manifested logos, or on the plane of illusion, for it is the sum total of a Dhyani Kohanic consciousness. O wise man, remove the conception of that not spirit is spirit, says Sankaracharya. Atma is not spirit in its final parabrahmic state. Iswara, or logos, is spirit. Or, as occultism explains, it is a compound unity of manifested living spirits, the parent source and nursery of all the mundane and terrestrial monads, plus their divine reflection, which emanated from and returned into the logos, each in the culmination of its time. There are 7 chief groups of such Dhyani Kohans, which groups will be found and recognized in every religion, for they are the primeval 7 rays. Humanity occultism teaches us is divided into 7 distinct groups and their subdivisions: mental, spiritual, and physical. The monad, then viewed as one, is above the 7th principle in the cosmos of man, and as a triad it is the direct radiant progeny of the said compound unit, not the breath in special creation out of Nile of God, as unit is called, for such an idea is quite unphilosophical and degrades deity, dragging it down to a finite attribute condition, as well expressed by the translator of the crest jewel of wisdom. Through Iswara is God, unchanged in the profoundest depths of pralayas and in the intense activity of the Manvaratas. Still beyond him is Atma, round whose pavilion in the darkness of eternal Maya. The triads, born under the same parent planet, or rather the radiations of one and the same planetary spirit, Dhyani Buddha, are in all their afterlives and rebirths sister or twin souls on the earth. Interesting where that term pops up. This was known to every high initiate on every age in every country. Quote, I and my Father are one, said Jesus. When he is made to say elsewhere, I ascend to my Father and your Father, it meant that which has just been stated. It was simply to show that the group of his disciples, followers attracted to him, belonged to the same Dhyani Buddha star, or father, again of the same planetary realm and division as he did. It is the knowledge of this occult doctrine that found expression in the review of the Idol of the White Lotus, when Mr. T. Subarao wrote, every Buddha meets at his last initiation all the great adepts who reached Buddhahood during the preceding ages. Every class of adepts has its own bond of spiritual communion, which knits them together. Pause. I say the very same thing in different words. Oh, I say the same damn thing. I say the same thing. I'm blown away. Soul Tribe. The only possible and effectual way of entering into such brotherhood is by bringing oneself within the influence of the spiritual light, which radiates from one's own logos. It may further point out here that such communion is only possible between persons whose soul derive their life and substance from the same divine ray, and that 7 distinct rays radiate from the central spiritual sun. All adepts and Dhyani Kohans are divisible into 7 classes, each of which is guided, controlled, and overshadowed by one of the 7 forms or manifestations of the divine wisdom. So I'm going to make a point to this. In my other videos that I do, I speak about the paradigms that a lot of us who belong to, I'm only talking about the positive polarity, that there's multiple polarities that are of the light. From my own self, from my validations, and from me doing a lot of inner work, I come from the Christic paradigm, the Christ consciousness. Not everybody does. There are other rays of light that have come down to form other sections with their tribes of people. There is no right or wrong or perception in light. It's just their ray is different. So when I speak about like what I embody, it's from a Christic standpoint. What other people in the light of their rays are different paradigms. Doesn't make either one of them right or wrong. If we're for Team Light, unite the rings and let's manifest some beautiful ascension. But otherwise, this explains a lot of what I talk about on my other episodes of Spiritual Soul Advice. It's very complicated at times. But I'm glad there's a book that can spell it out differently. It is then the 7 sons of light, called after their planets and by the rabble, often identified with them, namely Saturn, Jupiter, Mercury, Mars, Venus, and presumably for the modern critic, who goes in no deeper than the surface of old religions, the sun and moon, which are, according to the occult teachings, our heavenly parents or father synthetically. Hence, as already marked, polytheism is really more philosophical and correct as to the fact and nature than anthropomorphic monotheism. Saturn, Jupiter, Mercury, and Venus, the 4 exoteric planets, and the 3 others which must remain unnamed, were the heavenly bodies in direct astral and psychic communication with the earth, its guides and watchers, morally and physically, the visible orbs furnishing our humanity with its outward and inward characteristics, and their regents or rectors with our monads and spiritual faculties. In order to avoid creating new misconceptions, let it be stated that among the 3 secret orbs or star angels, neither Uranus nor Neptune entered, not only because they were unknown under these names to the ancient sages, but because they, as all other planets, however many they may be, are the gods and guardians of other septenary chains of globes within our systems. Nor do the last 2 discovered great planets depend entirely on the sun like the rest of the planets. Otherwise, how explain the fact that Neptune receives 900 times less light than our Earth, Uranus 390 times less, and their satellites show peculiarly of inverse rotation found in no other planets of the solar system. At any rate, what we say applies to Uranus, although recently the facts begins again to be disputed. So I want everybody to go look at the Kali Yuga, where there's like the subsections and how the different planets are going around those time frames. It'll help you better understand what they're talking about if you're lost in that. This subject will, of course, be considered merely vagary by all those who confuse the universe order of being with their own systems of classification. Here, however, simple facts from the occult teachings are stated to be either accepted or rejected, as the case may be. There are details which, on account of their great metaphysical abstractions, cannot be entered upon. Hence, we merely state that only 7 of our planets are intimately related to our globes, as the sun is to all the bodies subject to him in this system. Of these bodies, the poor little number of primary and secondary planets known to astronomy looks wretched enough in truth. Therefore, it stands to reason that there are a great number of planets, small and large, that have not been discovered yet, but of the existence of which ancient astronomers, all of them initiated adepts, must have certainly been aware. But as their relations to the gods were scarce and scared, it had remained arcane, as also the names of various other planets and stars, besides which even the Roman Catholic theology speaks of 70 planets that preside over the destinies of the nations of the globe. And since the Arrhenius application, there is more truth in this tradition than in extract modern astronomy. The 70 planets are connected with the 70 elders of the people of Israel, because these regents of these planets are meant, not the orbs themselves, and the word 70 is a play and a blind upon 7 times 7 of the subdivisions. Each people and nation are said already has its direct watcher, guardian, and father in heaven, a planetary spirit. We are willing to leave their own national God, Jehovah, to the descendants of Israel, the worshippers of Sabaoth, or Saturn. For indeed, the monads of the people chosen by him are his own, and the Bible has never made a secret of it. Only the text of the English Protestant Bible is in disagreement, as usual, with those of the Septuagint and the Vulgate. Thus, while in the former one reads, when the Most High, not Jehovah, divided to the nations their inheritance, he set the bounds of the people according to the number of the children of Israel. In the Septuagint, the text reads according to the number of the angels, planet angels, which is more accordant with the truth and fact. Moreover, all the texts agree that the Lord's Jehovah portion is his people. Jacob is the lot of his inheritance. And this settles the question. The Lord Jehovah took of his portion Israel, what have other nations to do with that particular national deity? Let then the angel Gabriel watch over Iran, and Michael, Jehovah, over the Hebrews. These are not the gods of other nations, and it is difficult to see why Christians should have selected a god against those whose commandments Jesus was the first one to rise in rebellion. The planetary origin of the monad soul and its faculties was taught by the Gnostics. On its way to the earth, as on its way back from the earth, each soul born in and from the boundless light had to pass through the 7 planetary regions both ways. The pure Dhyani and Devas of the oldest religions had become, in course of time, with the Zoroastrians, the 7 Devs, the ministers of Ahriman, each chained to his planet. With the Brahmins, the Ashuras, and some of the Rishis, good and bad and different, and among the Egyptian Gnostics, it was Thoth or Hermes, who was the chief of the 7, whose names are given by origin as Adonai, genius of the sun, Tau of the moon, Elori of Jupiter, Sabo of Mars. I'm totally butchering these names. Aura of Venus, Astrophani of Mercury, and Ildebaoth, Jehovah of Saturn. Finally, the Pistis Sophia, which the greatest modern authority on exoteric Gnostic beliefs, the late Mr. C.W. King, refers to as the precious monument of Gnosticism. This old document echoes, while distorting it to sectarian purposes, the archaic belief of the ages. The astral rulers of the spheres, the planets, create the monads, the souls, from their own substance, out of the tears of their eyes and the sweat of their torments, endowing the monads with a spark of the divine light, which is their substance. It will be shown in Book 2 why these lords of the zodiac and spheres have been transformed by sectarian theology into the rebellious angels of the Christians, who took them from the 7 devs of the Magi without understanding the significance of the allegory on the 7 souls in section, gods, monads, and atoms. As usual, that which is and was from its beginning divine, pure, and spiritual in the earliest unity became, by reason of its differentiation, by the distorted prism of man's conceptions, human and impure, as reflecting man's own sinful nature. Thus, in time, the planet Saturn became reviled by the worshippers of other gods. The nations born under Saturn, the Jewish, for instance, with whom he had become Jehovah, after having held as a son of Saturn or Ildebaoth, by the Orphites, and in the book of Yasher, were eternally fighting with these born under Jupiter, Mercury, or any other planet except Saturn, Jehovah. Genealogies and prophecies notwithstanding, Jesus the initiate, or Yahshua, the type from whom the historical Jesus was copied, was not of pure Jewish blood, and thus recognized no Jehovah, nor did he worship any planetary god besides his own Father, whom he knew, and with whom he communed as ever high initiate does, spirit to spirit, soul to soul. This can hardly be taken exception to unless the critic explains to everyone's satisfaction the strange sentences put in the mouth of Jesus by the author of the 4th gospel during the disputes with the Pharisees. Quote, I know ye are Abraham's seed. I speak the things which I have seen with my father, and ye do the things which ye heard from your father. Ye do the works of your father. Ye are of your father the devil. He was a murderer from the beginning and stood not in the truth, because there is no truth in him. When one speaketh a lie, he speaketh of his own, for his father also is a liar, and the father thereof, etc. Unquote. That father of the Pharisees was Jehovah, because identical with Cain, Saturn, Vulcan, etc., the planet under which they were born, and the God whom they worshipped. Evidently, there must be an occult meaning sought in these words and admonitions, however mistranslated, since they are pronounced by one who threatened with hellfire anyone who says simply "Racha," fool, to his brother. And evidently, again, the planets are not merely spheres twinkling in space and made to shine for no purpose, but the dominions of various beings with whom the profane are so far unequated, nevertheless having a mysterious, unbroken, and powerful connection with men and globes. Every heavenly body is the temple of a god, and these gods themselves are the temples of God, the unknown, not spirit. There is nothing profane in the universe. All nature is consecrated place, as Jung says. Each of these stars is a religious house. Thus can all exoteric religions be shown the falsified copies of the esoteric teachings. It is the priesthood which has to be held responsible for the reaction in favor of materialism of our day. It is by worshiping and enforcing on the masses the worship of the shells personified for purposes of allegory of pagan ideals that the latest exoteric religion has made of Western lands pandemonium, in which the higher classes worship the golden calf and the lower and ignorant masses are made to worship an idol with feet of clay. And this ends this section. Crazy shit. And I can tell you right now, I say a lot of this on my channel for my own self. Bizarre to be at that. So I want to know, what do you guys think? I got to make sure I write down what page I left off on. What goes on. Because I get lost sometimes with this book. Sorry, I'm gonna have to do this. So guys, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Check my beautiful pyramids out. They're not on my website yet. Here we go again with the stupid camera. I can't. Stupid camera. Stupid camera. Stupid camera. I got gremlins, I'm going to tell you what. Gremlins. So if you want a pyramid, check out my website, Allylatkreations211.com. I'm very far away from my computer. Please go check me out. I got a lot of cool stuff on there, and I custom make. So if you're interested in something, but you want different colors, you want, you know, pyramids, I can do a lot of different types of pyramids. I work with people financially as well. A lot of my stuff isn't that costly. So please check it out. Valentine's Day, birthdays. This is a frame. You could put a picture, or you can Cricut some initials. I don't have a Cricut. Yeah. I want to thank everybody for subscribing to my channel. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I can't thank everybody for my support. Just made 800 subscribers today. Makes me feel validated that what I'm putting out there, whether it be little Thor shorts or spiritual soul advices or just reading books for people to gain higher knowledge or just understanding of how people perceive and interpret the world. That's what my job is. Yeah, now my camera is doing some funky shit. Yep, you can see my art degree right there. So guys, sending you each love, light, compassion, grace, shielding, protection, energy. Please be safe, be seen. The weather is going berserk. I couldn't see out of my house today. My friend Julie bought me a camera, so I am safe. I'm having some crazy things happening around here. So I am locked and loaded on the side, and I am a spiritual warrior. I'm the warrior in the garden. So make sure you check out my other videos, and please be safe, be seen, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Sorry for the camera going berserk. Until the next one, guys.